Today I'm going to show you what it's like to drive the CT4-V Blackwing from a first-person point of view. Under the hood is a 3.6-liter twin-turbocharged V6 that makes 472 horsepower and 445 pound-feet of torque. Now, before you get all upset that it doesn't have a V8, the powertrain is silky smooth and it feels a lot faster than its power numbers suggest. It also sounds a lot better than something like a G80 M3. 0 to 60 happens in 3.9 seconds, but the best part is, this one is a manual. For those of you who have missed a chapter at Cadillac, the ATS-V was replaced by the CT4-V Blackwing, and the CTS-V was replaced by the CT5-V Blackwing. Visually, I think the CT4-V Blackwing looks awesome. If this was my car, they do have an optional carbon fiber front splitter, as well as dive planes, rocker panels, and a nice carbon fiber rear wing that I think makes it look a lot more aggressive. This is cyber yellow metallic, which looks pretty crazy. Let's go ahead and hop inside. The CT4-V is surprisingly nice inside. I'm in love with these bucket seats. They look fantastic. They're comfortable. They hold you in place well. My only complaint really is the infotainment. The screen and graphics look a bit dated, but honestly, that's pretty much it with the interior. I love the performance steering wheel. Now we've got this button here, V mode. We've got a 12-inch fully digital customizable instrument cluster. Watch this. If we click V, it'll radically change the instrument cluster to a really cool horizontal layout that I absolutely love. Now we can go through the different driving modes via this selector right here. Right now, this is in V mode, but if we go to this, up on the screen, we've got sport mode, track mode, snow and ice, my mode, etc. My favorite mode, of course, is track mode, so we're going to put it back into there. Now, once you're in track mode, you can also see the difference between the steering, suspension, and engine settings in those various modes. You can also go into this. Now, this will change the performance traction. Right now, it's inactive. We can change it to wet mode, dry mode, sport, race 1, and race 2. I've been leaving it in race 2. It lets you slip a little bit, and honestly, the driving dynamics of this are really, really impressive. The 6-speed manual transmission throws are awesome. It's got kind of this almost 3D printed style top of the shift knob that I think looks fantastic. We've got heated seats, cooled seats, a heated steering wheel. Now let's go ahead and hop in the rear because I think it's so cool what the back of these bucket seats look like. They're fully Alcantara, which looks really, really nice. Once again, even the back seats look fantastic. Alcantara on the headliner. Let's go ahead and hop in the front seat again. I think Cadillac did a fantastic job with this car. If they just update the look and feel of this infotainment, the interior would be absolutely epic. Now, we do have a couple of really cool features in here. We've got a performance timer where you can track your 0 to 60, but what I think is really cool, I'll show you out on the road, is you can actually change the launch control. So let's go ahead and click on that. It's in automatic right now. We can put it to custom, and then we can change the launch RPM as well as the slip target, which I think is really cool. You can also do a burnout with line lock. All right, guys, let's take it for a drive. All right, launch control in the Blackwing. We are in track mode. Performance traction is on race 2. Car in first gear. We can rev it up. It'll limit you at 4,000 RPM, and then we'll take off. All right, let's go ahead and try that again, but this thing absolutely rips in second gear when that torque hits. Another little 0 to 60 run. Go ahead and put it into first gear. It feels like we could reduce the launch RPM a little bit. Little spin. Man, this thing absolutely moves, and its cornering ability is ridiculous. Behind the wheel of the Blackwing, and this thing absolutely moves. From the brake stopping power to the chassis to the powertrain, this thing is a full-fledged sports sedan that comes alive when you start to rip it in the canyons. The MagneRide suspension does such a good job at giving this a two-faced personality. You can drive this around town, commute, use it as a daily driver. It's very comfortable, but then you take it out here and it is an animal on the track and on twisty canyon roads. 472 horsepower does not do this thing justice. It feels like mid-500s. The shift throws are fantastic. The linkage is awesome. The clutch feel is good. Such a refreshing thing to have a four-door manual transmission sports sedan that has this much communication. I mean, it just begs you to drive it harder and harder. We've got a heads-up display that's fully customizable. Right now it's in V mode, so it kind of looks like that awesome horizontal tachometer. Another thing I really like is, independent of the driving modes, you can change the active rev matching. So right now I've got rev matching turned on. We've got a button right here where you can go ahead and turn that off. A lot of cars like Porsche, depending upon what mode you're in, it doesn't allow you to turn off the active downshifts. But if you want to row your own gears and make things a little bit more challenging on yourself, you can turn it off, which I think is pretty cool. Although I will say the active rev matching works so well that if you're on the track and you're not an expert driver, might as well have that on, to be honest. It doesn't make it any less fun. It honestly can make it more fun because you're less focused on making sure you do a perfect downshift and you can just slam the car through different gears. This thing sounds good. And when you get the exhaust hot, it has these awesome cracks and pops that happen. I absolutely love this thing. It's so ridiculous to drive. Wow. You know, for 13 grand less than an M3, I'm taking this over a G80 M3 all day long. Obviously, if you want the all-wheel drive platform, you can't get that in this. But Cadillac's basically built the ultimate sports sedan that people are sleeping on. It's rear-wheel drive. That's awesome. It's a manual transmission. That's awesome. The engine is lively, responsive, silky smooth, and it looks great as well on the outside. And the interior is really nice. These sports seats are designed very well. They hold you in place. They're comfortable. I wish they would redesign the screen, but other than that, man, I don't have any complaints about this car. I'm very, very impressed. And I'm excited to drive the CT4-V Blackwing next week. That has the massive supercharged 668 horsepower V8. Now, there are some cool features in the interior of this car. I mean, we've got heated steering wheel, which is cool for a performance car, heated and cooled seats, but I loved the performance data recorder. I think more manufacturers need to add this. Effectively, I can click start recording right now, and it's going to record using a camera me driving on this twisty road, and then it's going to overlay. You can select what you want to overlay data-wise, but it can overlay a tachometer with speed, and it's basically creating this awesome track video for you without you really having to do much at all, and I think that's awesome. So if you go stop recording, and then you can watch that later, you can take it off on an SD card and put it on your computer and share it with friends. I think that is a pretty awesome feature. We've also got a 0 to 60 acceleration timer. With the automatic transmission, people are getting as low as 3.9 seconds. You can probably get semi-close to that in the 4-second range with the manual transmission. But even if it's the teeniest bit slower, the manual is the way to go. It's so nice to drive, and it just makes the experience feel more special. Especially because we're gonna lose manuals at some point. And then everyone's going to be wishing that they had bought a car like this. It's kind of the last hurrah. I mean, yes, if this had a massive supercharged V8, it would be a little bit better. Imagine the CT4-V Blackwing powertrain, maybe a little less horsepower because obviously they need that CT5 to seem more impressive on paper at least. But that would be pretty cool. However, honestly, I don't think the 6-cylinder is a downside whatsoever. It really pulls, it sounds nice. And I bet with downpipes and a tune, not that this doesn't already rip, but I bet you could add a lot of horsepower. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I'm very impressed with the CT4-V Blackwing. Look forward to seeing you next video.